slippery start to the 2022 Tour de France. Big crowds braving the rain for a 12-kilometer time trial through the streets of Copenhagen. First time ever in Denmark for the world's most famous cycling race. 3 days before the riders travel over to northern France.
This only happens once, so I just had to be here. My wife called me crazy, but I don't care.
It's a historical day. I mean, first time ever something like this comes to Copenhagen, so everybody's excited. And I live close by, so I thought I'd get here early, and the rest of the family is coming later on.
I have never been to Denmark, and I wanted to combine coming to the Grand Depart with coming to Copenhagen, and it was all booked 2 years ago, and then COVID took over. So I've waited 2 years, and I'm here.
Well, let's cross now to France 24's Jean-Emile Jamin, who is in the Danish capital. Again, for, as we heard from those excited fans, a first, the Tour de France in Denmark. Of course, those interviews, Jean-Emile, that was before the heavens parted.
Yes, that's true. And we thought that the rain might scupper the ride, but it hasn't done so, especially this time trial. As we would say, the predominant riders that we expected to succeed, they have done their job. As you mentioned, it is a time trial, so the only thing that could really affect it was the rain. There's no hills, there's no cobblestones. There's a bit of wind here in Copenhagen, and we just saw a lot of the spectators out with their umbrellas. I myself was wearing a poncho, a huge downpour, and it did affect some of the riders. Stefan Bissegger from Team Education First, he crashed early on, came back to recover a little bit. Also, Christophe Laporte from Jumbo-Visma, he slid across the surface. But the main competitors, as I mentioned, there was a little stretch where we saw Wout van Aert, Tadej Pogacar, and Philippe Gagny all taking off from the podium, and they all performed very admirably. As it stands, of course, these positions could all change. But Wout van Aert is now in second place. Tadej Pogacar from Team UAE Emirates, one of the clear favorites for the general classification. He's currently in third. And Filippo Gagny was in fourth last time we spoke. But the real surprise story for the time trial today, we have to say, is Yves Lampaert, the Quick Step Alpha Vinyl, a Belgian rider. He's now currently in the lead, having finished this 13.2 kilometer course with 15.17 minutes. The others trailing a little bit behind, 5 seconds later, Wout van Aert in second. So a huge congratulations to Yves Lampaert. So far, of course, it's far from over. The final rider, that's going to be Marc Soler from Team UAE Emirates, off the podium at 6:55. Local time. He's going to be the last rider. So, of course, there's a few more to go before we get the final results from stage one of this year's 2022 Tour de France.
Yeah, nobody's going to win the Tour de France on day one. Of course, you can lose it, or at least lose precious seconds. So far, the two-time defending champion, Tadej Pogacar, looking good.
Looking very good, and as you mentioned, you can't win this first stage, you can't win the general classification, especially off a time trial. But what he will be looking to do is at least get a few minutes or seconds ahead of his competitors for that general classification, that yellow jersey at the end. And those are the likes of Primož Roglic, his Slovenian compatriot for Jumbo-Visma, also Jonas Vingegaard, the Danish local favorite, also coming in seventh place so far, Roglic in eighth. So as long as he's ahead of his general classification competitors, that is what he will want to do in order to retain that maillot jaune at the end of the Tour de France. This, of course, is a chance for a third consecutive jersey, forming somewhat of a cycling dynasty, the 23-year-old. I mean, we can expect him to go on in strength to strength. A fantastic effort from the young Slovenian. So, of course, this is just the start, but many more exciting races to come in this edition. There's 2 more stages, of course, here in Denmark before the riders head off to France in what is starting as the most northern Grand Depart. And I have to just quickly add that the atmosphere here has been absolutely electric, almost like a Grand Retour at the Champs-Élysées. Copenhagen has just turned out in its numbers a fantastic ambience and atmosphere.
Yeah, the rain not scaring away crowds that are sometimes 3 deep. Jean-Emile Jamin, many thanks for that live update from the streets of Copenhagen. He'll be checking in with us for a live update later. Still some 32 riders to go before the end of this 13-kilometer time trial, the opening stage.